very strong performance, pretty strong. Cajun wrote a bunch of notes here to summarize this Campfire chat for 111. So here it is over here. Thank you, Cajun, for writing this. Let me quickly glance over this and give you a quick summary because some people came in halfway through and they said they missed it. So essentially, they're doing everything that they said last time. And 111, the notes go up on August 2nd and it goes live on August 8th. So they're changing barbs and sorcerers. They're buffing a lot of things across the board. For barbs, it's pretty easy to explain. They're making your basic skills generate more fury, which helps barbs in the early game. Early game barb sucks. They're one of the worst levelers, usually because they just don't have any fury to do anything. They're also making, for the first time really ever, some meaningful damage increases on some of their core skills, like double swing, like rupture, actually going up significantly. They're changing some of the barb uniques. They are making them better. In the examples that they showed, they didn't seem too crazy, but at least they're getting better. They're taking out some of the garbage stats and some of the uniques and replacing them with better ones, making some of the unique powers better. We'll see. The barb uniques suck right now. We'll see how that changes out. Sorcerer changes are pretty widespread across the board. The real winner from the notes they showed us is Chain Lightning. Chain Lightning looks like it's going to absolutely destroy. It's already one of the best leveling builds. In the end game, it's not really that great, but for leveling, I would be shocked if Chain Lightning Sorcerer wasn't just straight up like the best leveling build in the entire game, with the patch notes that showed us and some of the changes that they're making. In general, they hit a lot of the problems with Sorcerer. They said that the endgame survivability is bad. That's exactly right. They buffed a lot of the Paragon stuff so you can get survivability that way. And another thing about sorcerers, which was another problem, is there's too many conditions or there's too many penalties for something good to happen, and they're opening that up, which is why Chain Lightning is going to be really good. And an example that they gave is when they nerfed Hydra, they give you an extra Hydra, but it also reduces the Hydra's duration. It just gives you a penalty with the buff. Now, not only did they remove that Hydra penalty, it actually gives you a buff and it extends the duration. So overall, it should feel a hell of a lot better. Let me quickly look through this. There's so many things here. So they also reworked some of the other classes. Some of the necromancers got some buffs to some things that are very underutilized. They made a comment where some of their dot builds still required you to do stuff with crit, even though dots can't crit. So they're going to fix that. They nerfed some of the monsters in the game because they have very good telematics. When necromancers play minion builds, they can see which monsters are killing all the minions, and they nerfed a lot of the monsters that are killing the minions all the time. So that will be better. And another thing that they said is the minions are important to them, like the necro minion, that class fantasy, and they said that will be something core to the game and something they will constantly be improving. They made some buffs to rogues. They buffed some of the things that rogues don't really need. They said rogues are in a really good spot, so they didn't get as many changes. That's true. I mean, rogues are just dominating. And then druids, they did the same treatment for barbs. They gave you early game generation, which is going to make it a lot better. And another thing is they buffed the companions significantly. They said that they like companion druid, but they don't want it to be essentially as strong as a minion necro. But they will continue looking at that. So that's like the class changes. They really buffed monster density. So here's the picture. This is the density of a dungeon before, and this is the density of a dungeon after. Now, I guess I could go through and count everything, but it looks like, I don't know, maybe like a 50% increase. So that will buff XP. And they said that they will look at adjusting the XP, how you actually gain it. So they did one buff, they did one kind of nerf, and now they're doing another buff. So the buff that they did was they increased the XP that you got in Nightmare Dungeons. The nerf that they did is if you did +3, you used to get a 25% bonus. Now you have to do +10 for a 15% bonus. So that's the thing that made everybody rage. There's no real incentive to try hard anymore because you get a way less buff and it's just way harder. But now they're giving us another buff where they just increase the density, which increases XP. So what they said was they're not going to change the XP number until they get data on how it works with the speed of leveling with the density change. And then if that's not enough, it sounded like they said by season 2, they will adjust the numbers again so you can level up quicker. And I think that that's fair. They said that they reduced the cast time of leaving a dungeon from 3 to 5. Now they're just bringing it back down to 3. They said it just nerfed the fun. So they're just going to bring it back down to 3. They said that there's 3 Nightmare Dungeon affixes that are really bad that they want to rework, so they're removing it in the patch for now. It's Resource Burn, Cold Enchanted, and Backstabber. So Resource Burn is the worst affix by far. It's just way too strong and it's stupid, so they need to remove that. I'm not really sure why they removed Cold Enchanted because they already nerfed it, and now it's not so brutal. I'm not really sure why they removed it because it's way better now, but whatever, I'll take it. They're removing it. And then Backstabber has these situations where sometimes just monsters just do way too much damage, and I get that. I also wish they would have gotten rid of Crit Resist and Pikachu, which is Lightning Storm. I'm not really sure why they didn't get rid of those, but that's what they said. Now, here's the one thing that they did that I'm just really not a fan of, and people are going to hate me for this, and that's fine. But there's one thing that they did that I really don't like. They're going to make bosses harder in World Tier 3 and 4 and world bosses. I like that. That's good. Bosses they just don't mean anything. So that's a good change. But now they're at 35 and higher, they're guaranteed to drop you a legendary. Every casual is going to love that. I hate that. It's turning into Diablo 3. Maybe I would be okay with this if they gave us a loot filter, but I'm already getting way too many items. You're just giving me a reward for clearing Nightmare Dungeons now. Here's an extra 2 yellows or 2 legendaries. Now the boss is guaranteed to drop a legendary. It's just too much, man. They also did the same thing for treasure goblins. I like the treasure goblin change better because treasure goblins are at least more rare. So I don't mind the treasure goblin change as much. But I think every single boss that you kill is guaranteed to drop a legendary. I think that's garbage with the current state of the game. Casuals will strongly disagree with me. I think it's just bad. I would have never supported this. Respec costs are going down 40%. They're giving you an extra stash tab. They had a whole Reddit thread on how it's hard for them to add extra stash tabs. You don't have to spend RMT for it. It costs like 400,000 gold in game, and you can get that. Then there was a Q&A at the end. Let me see if there's any notes on that as I scroll down. Yep, perfect. Thank you, Cajun. What a great job. Already talked about the XP crowd control. So they asked about crowd control again. And they essentially gave an answer that I completely did not understand. It didn't make any sense. But what I think they said is crowd control when you aren't in a big fight is not a problem. Crowd control when you're in a big fight is a problem. And I guess they're going to do something about it, is kind of what I got from it. It was a very strange answer. What are the intentions for resistances? Essentially, I said they're going to buff them. They're not good right now. They can't make them too good, but they're going to make them better. Any changes to mounts? So they said mounts on a controller suck. They're going to buff that. Then they said the boost doesn't stack on controller. They're going to fix that. And then they also said that they said the right thing. They said riding around and getting stuck on objects and getting blocked by barricades is not fun. They thought it would be fun in the design, but it's not fun. And then they said, we will fix that. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means they're going to get rid of the barricades. I don't know if you can jump over them. I don't know if the collision of the mounts is going to get better. All they said is they're going to fix it. What's the plan for Overpower? Overpower is good early game. It sucks late game because it doesn't scale. By the way, one thing similar to this is they said a lot of the flat damage explosions on legendary powers isn't good early game, or it's very good early game and it sucks late game because it doesn't scale. They're going to do like a design change to fix some of those things like dust devils and dots and stuff. Overpower is it is a unique uh, way to implement damage that's different from crit. So they succeeded there. It just doesn't scale well into the end game, and it sucks. So they're going to aim for it to be more meaningful. So when they do like their big damage calculation changes, they're going to make it better. Then any additional customization plan? Are they going to introduce pets and wings? And they said, of course, but they're not going to do that until they fix like the core game, like the gameplay and the classes. I think it's an absolute miracle that they said that, because that's what every player wants to hear, is stop working on cosmetics and stuff in the shop and fix the game first. That was a dream come true. Overall, I would say that it was a pretty big win. They are delivering exactly essentially what they promised in the previous Campfire thing, which this is one of the biggest motifs and complaints that I hear in the community is they keep saying they'll fix the game, but they never fix the game. They don't understand what the problems are. They're not listening to the community. I thought for the most part, um, what they presented here and what we're getting in 1.1.1 is exactly that. They're delivering what they promised us, and they are fixing a lot of things that the community does care about. I do think some of the things are not what I have done, not what I would have done. Some of the uniques that they changed didn't look meaningful at all, and I hate the extra legendary from every boss that you kill. I can't say that enough. How stupid I think that is. Um, but for the most part, they did a great job. Another thing I need to call out is Temerity. Temerity is a pair of pants that's often very misunderstood. A lot of people think Temerity is better than it actually is. Temerity gives you a barrier on your base life, and Temerity doesn't work correctly with some of the certain powers, which means that Temerity is just worse than a lot of people think it is. But now, Blizzard is changing it. They're swapping out one of the bad stats for max life, and now Temerity gives you a barrier on max life, and now Temerity works with the barrier passives. So in my mind, theory crafting wise, Temerity went from okay, kind of good, you can use it if you find a good one, to probably best pants in the entire game. Another thing that they said is when you get a new, when they change a legendary power or a unique power, if you have an old one, the legendary power at the bottom will update, but the changes in stats won't. So if you want the full new item, you're going to have to find it again, but at least you'll get the power out of it. And yeah, so that's my like lightning fast 3 minute or however long that was summary of the Campfire. But in general, they're hitting the right things. They're doing the things that they said that they were going to do. And for the most part, a lot of their solutions that they have do seem to address the core problems, in my opinion.